Shuangwen, plus, multi-female lead, plus, funny, plus, star iron fan, Zhang Shisan traveled through the world of starry railways and was trapped on the same day for 300 years. In order to pass the time, he simulated the universe for 300 years. Just. Why is this simulated universe different? The blessings received can bring out the star iron world. What kind of damage does it cause to lie down with a stick? Also, what's wrong with the female characters? Esther. I am missing a personal bodyguard with a salary of 20 million yuan per month. Not enough to add more. Kafka. Listen to me, you have to follow me obediently. March 7th, don't be fooled by bad women. Isn't it good to travel with beautiful girls like us? Ruan Mei. Darling, let's explore lifeless planets. I want to delve deeper into emotional slicing. You guys are all not doing well, I ruined the game. Chapter 1. 300 Years of Reincarnation, Simulating the Changes in the Universe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Simulate universe updates to measure the phone screen is on. The chat box flickers and keeps flickering. Looking at the profile picture, the person sending the message is not very old and has a temperament that is just between that of a young girl and lowly. She has long brown-gray hair lightly pressed against her profile, and her eyes sparkle like amethyst, but her beautiful eyes always have a hint of indifference. Wearing a purple-black beret on top of the head, the hat is adorned with a 6-petal purple lily. Just a glance at it will evoke a feeling of, she looks so beautiful. Her name is Haida. Member number 83 of the Genius Club, the highest IQ human on the Blue Star, it is rumored that he may also be the Wisdom Commander. Of course, she is also one of the founders of the simulation universe. My immediate superior. Facing the familiar yet indifferent chat box, the handsome Zhang Shisan's fingertips trembled slightly. The heroic figure between the edges was full of dimness, and a hint of despair appeared on the brow. It's reset again. 300 years, a whole 300 years, I was trapped in the Black Tower office for a whole 300 years. If possible, Zhang Shisan doesn't want to travel anymore. Long, long ago, he still lived on the Blue Star. Collecting rent every day and having nothing to do to help others with the game, Starry Sky Railway, life is quite comfortable. However, one day, the in-game simulation universe received a massive update. In less than 3 days, it's sudden. No, there are too many accounts in hand. The liver cannot be completed, it cannot be completed at all. Once again, I opened my eyes and miraculously traveled to the game world of Starry Railroad, becoming a knowledgeable scholar. Coincidentally, during that time, the Black Tower space station was recruiting new employees, and the working environment was still directly facing Ms. Black Tower. Zhang Shisan came up with a plan and decided to hold on to the thigh of this genius lady tightly. He succeeded. After passing 5 levels and defeating 6 generals, he stood out against countless competitors and became a trainee apprentice for Ms. Haida, successfully staying at the space station to work. Little did they know that the nightmare was about to begin. After arriving at the space station, Zhang Shisan thoroughly understood his job. Searching for loopholes in the simulated universe. What is a simulated universe? Simply put, a brand new virtual world. All senses are completely authentic. Players can choose their blessings and strengthen their bodies in the simulated universe, thereby defeating opponents and completing the level. Just like a game. Of course, this virtual world is not just for playing, as geniuses say, no one will reject the secrets of the stars. For the geniuses who developed it, the simulation universe is used to study the top group of guys in the entire universe. The star gods. Zhang Shisan is not interested in this, he is just a tester and a mouse. However, during a test, he suddenly heard cheap laughter. The laughter seemed to be mixed with something, and then his mind became dizzy and his consciousness began to blur until the darkness completely engulfed him. Upon waking up again, Zhang Shisan realized that he couldn't leave this day no matter what. At midnight, time rotates like a reset, day and night. He was unable to leave the Black Tower office, and the external signal of his phone was also interrupted. The only thing that accompanied him was the Test Simulation Universe message sent by Ms. Black Tower every day. This made him suffer greatly, both physically and mentally exhausted. The only thing that pleased Zhang Shirsan was this simulated universe seems to have no limitations on itself. What does it mean? Simulate the universe, simulate the universe. Simulating two words is very important. It is a fake game world, and the props and items inside the game cannot leave the virtual world according to normal theory. Zhang Shirsan is different. He found that he can bring the blessings of the simulated universe to the real world and directly strengthen his physical body. Having spent 300 years exploring the simulated universe, Zhang Shirsan didn't know how many blessings he had received and how much his strength had reached. Why don't you think so much? No matter how strong you are, what's the use? You'll always be trapped on this day. He sighed and climbed the stairs again into the simulation universe, trying to find fun in that virtual game. But this time, he had just entered the simulated universe, and the feeling of spinning around the world struck again. My own consciousness and soul seem to be bound by something, and the scene before me is blurry and I can't see anything. Zhang Shirsan is not afraid, but exceptionally happy. Very familiar. It was the same feeling at the beginning, and since then he has been locked in time, forever staying on this day. He thought that if this force could kill him, he would also be considered liberated. Anyway, it won't be worse than now. Open your eyes again. A beautiful girl with clear eyebrows and eyes stood in front of her, poking her 13 cheeks with her fingers. Seeing the person on the ground clear-headed, the girl's voice was somewhat impatient. It looks like you're not dead. Miss Black Tower. Zhang Shirsan was stunned for a moment and looked around. He was sure he was still in the Black Tower office. Over the past 300 years, Ms. Haida has never spoken to herself, even once. What exactly happened? What expression are you looking at? Black Tower's voice had a hint of disdain and a somewhat strange expression. She cleared her throat and said, "Don't think too much. I'm not worried about you, no. What's wrong with me?" Zhang Shirsan got up from the cold ground, feeling weak and sore all over. He sat next to the steps, his chest still feeling a bit stuffy. Today, it seems to have changed a bit. Who knows what you're doing? Black Tower hugged his chest with both hands, squinted at Zhang Shirsan, and couldn't help but say, "I thought you were dead when I saw you suddenly fall." Falling down. Otherwise. The girl had no expression on her face and gently waved her hand to summon a blue thread. The thread wove in several pages of virtual paper and floated before her eyes. She pinched her chin and observed steadily. "Your attendance and work efficiency this month were careless, and I reluctantly gave you a few days off. However, don't be too proud too early, I'm not praising you. You still have 2 months of probation. If you don't meet my requirements, I will dismiss you. Before that, don't die. I don't want to waste precious time on re-screening and applying for those people." Ms. Haida seemed to be talking to herself, but she didn't give Zhang Shirsan a chance to speak. She stood back on the steps, and the lively light in her eyes suddenly disappeared, remaining motionless in the end. Zhang Shirsan ignored Ms. Haida's doll and kept thinking about her words. There are still 2 months probation period. Wait a minute. Before my reincarnation, I did stay on the space station for a month. And the labor contract also specifies a 3-month probationary period. Hush. Zhang Shirsan suddenly thought of something and rushed towards the door like a madman. With a loud clatter, the automatic door of the office gently opened, and a dazzling white light rushed into his eyes, making him unable to open his eyes. Is the cycle of reincarnation over? He stared foolishly outside the office, dumbfounded like a statue. 300 years, 300 years. Finally, we can come out. Zhang Shursan stepped out of the office, enjoying the fresh air of the space station, and almost burst into tears. Who knows how he came through these 300 years? It's too difficult to endure. Sigh. Coming out, coming out. A murmuring sound suddenly came from my ear. Although the voice was small, it was instantly captured by Zhang Shursan. In an instant, many eyes fell on him, which made him feel a bit puzzled and annoyed. How could their gaze towards him be so strange? He scanned towards the office desk 10 meters away, and several staff members quickly moved their eyes away, feeling guilty and looking down to flip through the documents, or moving the mouse towards the computer, their eyes flickering and their minds clearly absent-minded. Zhang Shursan ignored it and continued to observe, only to find that it was the same in several office areas. Most of the staff secretly scrutinized themselves, but instinctively avoided their gaze. Something's wrong. Something's not right. What exactly happened? My intuition told Zhang Shursan that something I didn't know happened. This matter is also related to oneself. Chapter 2. Human beings simulate the universe, and the pot comes from the sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My phone suddenly rang. He picked up his phone and the chat app inexplicably added an anonymous group. The name of this group is, "Oh ho, something big happened." "Oh roar, something big happened." Autumn eating melon. Show, you should all know about this, right? Tell me quickly, what's the inside story? Autumn eating melon. I just found out, it's really spicy and explosive. Gua gua one shout. The situation is very big, it's difficult to know whether or not. As for the insider information. Who knows, just eat the melon and it's over. Autumn eating melons. That's what I said, but I'm really curious about the follow-up. It's too much like a novel plot, isn't it? Jean 13. What are you talking about? What happened? Looking at these riddles in the group, Zhang Shursan couldn't help but ask questions. Along the way, as the scientists looked at him, he increasingly felt that he had fallen into trouble, and it was not a small matter. Fortunately, this group is anonymous, and the names and avatars in the group are random. Others are unaware that the person speaking is Zhang Shursan. Oh roar, something big happened. Autumn eating melon. High upstairs, are you so unlucky? Now the entire space station knows that the webmaster's top fan is going to launch a duel against the new staff member. Are you surprised or not? Autumn eating melon. What's the name of that little clerk? Let me think about it. Guagua one shout. Zhang Shursan. Guagua one shout. Yes, it's Zhang Shursan, the person who was specially recruited into the Black Tower space station a month ago. Jean 13. No, Jean 13 only started working a month ago, didn't he cause any trouble? Who did he provoke? Jean 1300 is speechless. He carefully recalled that month 300 years ago, when he was supposed to help Ms. Haida test the simulated universe. How could anyone still come to me for a duel? The key is that I didn't do anything. Colleagues who have spoken can count with one hand. Who is so idle and bothers me when they have nothing to do? Wait. Zhang Shursan's gaze locked on the words, webmaster, and his knife-like eyebrows couldn't help but twist slightly. Almost instantly, the image of a pink-haired girl slowly appeared in my mind. De Fupa Esda. The acting station manager of the Black Tower space station. She is wealthy enough to rival a country. No, she is wealthy enough to rival the existence of many local superclusters. The wealth of a wealthy woman is beyond your imagination. She can't do it without her. I didn't offend her either. She's the #1 fan, why bother me? Zhang Shursan was stunned and blinked, indicating that he was very innocent. Oh roar, something big happened. Autumn eating melon. Hee, they are all elderly people on the space station. You should be very clear about the application process on our space station, right? It takes countless rounds of robot interviews, as well as 2 rounds of real-person interviews, to be hired. The difficulty of this assessment is extremely high, and everyone understands it. Many people try their best to squeeze their heads into our space station. Autumn eating melons. But autumn eating melon. That newcomer named Zhang Shursan, I heard he only had 1 round of interviews and inexplicably entered the Black Tower space station. Do you think it's strange? Zhang Shursan. What does this have to do with the webmaster? Why does her top fan keep an eye on Zhang Shursan? Gua Gua Wan shout. What a fool upstairs. Autumn eating melon. The upstairs is so stupid. Running non-stop. The upstairs is really stupid. John 13. Quack quack. Don't you understand? I've been on the space station for so many years and haven't seen anyone come in through connections. Although our space station is called the Black Tower Space Station, Ms. Black Tower neither manages nor pays, and is basically in a state of disrepair. So, through which layer of relationship did John 13 enter? Roaming and rumbling. A burst of thunder exploded in Zhang Shursan's mind. A few questions follow this train of thought and appear reasonably. Why did Esda let a related party in? What is the relationship between the related party and Esda? What is the identity of this person named Zhang Shursan? He suddenly understood what these people were discussing. I suddenly understood why that top fan wanted to duel with me. In his eyes, I am mostly tarnishing the existence of its goddess. Suddenly, Zhang 1300 was speechless. If it weren't for the parties involved in this incident, he would have gossiped about what the situation was. After all, it was the super-rich woman Esda. This is human nature. But unfortunately, the center of everyone's discussion is me. It's simply an unwarranted disaster. Zhang Shursan wanted to cry but couldn't cry. What's this called? Really, which bastard is spreading rumors outside? After a while, he lay in bed and retreated, feeling increasingly angry as he thought about it. I passed Ms. Haida's assessment in a fair and upright manner. He still remembers that at that time, he was steadying defeated various opponents step by step, trampling them down one by one, in exchange for the opportunity to stay on the space station. You should know. Ms. Haida, as the most intelligent human on the Blue Star and a member of the Genius Club, has many followers. Even Miss Asaida is a supporter of Ms. Haida. As long as the latter says one word, many people can even die for her. Not to mention a job position on the space station, it can be imagined how fierce the competition is. God knows how hard Zhang Shursan put in to stand out from countless people. The college entrance examination in the past life was likened to 1,000 soldiers and horses crossing a single wooden bridge. But here, it is 10,000 times harder to gain the recognition of Ms. Haida and stay on the space station than to win the provincial first place in the college entrance examination. After all, his opponents come from countless star domains. My strength is also stronger. There are even old monsters who have lived for countless years. Unfortunately, even though we struggled to enter the space station with our strength, we were so rumored. Being too excellent is also wrong. As for the only round of interviews arranged for the space station, it only went through a process. Ultimately, Zhang Shursan's immediate supervisor is Ms. Haida, not the internal system of the space station. I didn't expect such a big fuss over such a trivial matter. The heat is already full. Zhang Shursan gritted his teeth and cursed these people in his heart, but his fingers kept sliding up and down in the exclusive forum of the Black Tower space station. 10 posts, 8 related to oneself. The most eye-catching topic is naturally the constant speculation of everyone about the relationship between Zhang Shursan and Esda. Some people talk about friends, some talk about siblings, some talk about other relatives, and even some have written short stories to criticize CP. These people who are rubbing against the heat eat human blood man too. It's not a big deal to watch the excitement. Served your group of old six. Zhang Shursan helplessly and angrily lifted his phone, wanting to smash it hard to the ground, but also feeling reluctant. I have only seen Ida once, and it was during the interview that I saw so many relationships popping up inexplicably. He admitted that Miss Ida is very beautiful and has a good personality. If you really have an affair with a wealthy woman, do you still need to come out and work? Is it not fragrant to hug your thighs directly? Who wouldn't love the soft and white thighs of a wealthy woman? I always dream of waking up with a smile. People are simulating the universe, the pot comes from the sky, it's uncomfortable. The key is that I have been around for 300 years, and it has been even more painful since I came out. Turning off his phone, Zhang Shursan tried to dispel his drowsy mind. The impact of today's events was too great, and he needed to restart his brain. Whether it's breaking free from reincarnation or this sudden occurrence. He doesn't want to think. I just want to lie in bed and have a good sleep. Strangely, he tossed and turned for a long time without feeling sleepy. Why can't I sleep, despite being tormented for 300 years and exhausted both physically and mentally? It's really annoying. Picking up the phone again, a very prominent post suddenly popped up in the forum. Me, Jilly, real name authentication, it's the dog of Esda webmaster. Zhang Shursan, I want to duel with you. Don't be a coward, I'll ask if you dare to fight. Chapter 3. Secondary Security Mode. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The content of the post is a short video taken by Jilly. In the video, he wears his iconic explosive head and chatters incessantly to show the camera his work badge, with his name, job number, department, and so on clearly displayed. He made a high-profile oath that he would follow Ida and provoked and dueled Zhang Shursan. Zhang Shursan, I know you must be watching this video. Would you dare to accept my duel invitation? Hehe, it's okay if you dare not. Post a surrender post on the forum as soon as possible, and everyone won't laugh at you. It's normal for you to not be able to beat me after all, I am Miss Esda's most loyal warrior. As long as I am still here, no one can tarnish Miss Esda. 1,000 layers of waves rolled up in a moment. This sticker spreads rapidly like igniting gunpowder. The comment section is stacked layer by layer, and new comments can be seen whenever refreshed. Many people expressed that the landlord is really impressive and gave him likes. Some people say that Jilly has a brain pit and is looking for trouble when he has nothing to do. More people still gather to watch and eat melons, or act as skewers, hoping to make the fire even more lively. These bastards. At first, Zhang Shursan didn't want to pay attention to the jumping clown. He was trapped for 300 years in reincarnation, exhausted both physically and mentally, with numerous scars. He just wants to rest or experience good times. Cherish the present. However, the flames in front of me were getting bigger and bigger, and there was a faint feeling that they couldn't be extinguished. The public opinion clearly put Zhang Shursan on the fire for a barbecue. If I don't fight or lose a duel, my reputation as Zhang Shursan will be tarnished. How can I continue to work on the Black Tower space station in the future? At that time, the words clown and joke will be firmly attached to oneself. He could already imagine what everyone looked like after tea and dinner. So this battle must be fought. And we also need to win. Since this guy wants to fight, let's fight. Esda's #1 fan. Beat it so hard that you don't even know your own mother. See if you dare to be arrogant. Zhang Shursan stared coldly at the forum, without saying a word, switched accounts, and directly posted a new post with a real name authentication account. The title was, I accept your contract with Zhang Shursan, but I don't like this way, Jilly. Wait for it to be hammered. Let's meet on the platform at noon in 3 days in less than 5 minutes. My own challenge post has become popular. Countless people rushed in to watch and leave messages. They want to see what kind of harsh words Zhang Shursan will give. The title is full of gunpowder, and the content of the post should be more explosive. However, when they saw the content of the post, they were all stunned outside the screen. Station Master Ida, what should we do if there are any casualties? Ida replied to the post. Click on it, there will be a professional medical team present. Everyone. 6. No one expected that Esda would really leave a message after the post. This is a real name account, and the significance of posting can be imagined. Esda's comment undoubtedly pushed the popularity to a new peak. Countless onlookers laughed heartily. Zhang Shursan is also too good at hating people. He didn't say a harsh word in the post, but caused critical damage to Jilly. Laugh to death. Zhang Shursan's subtext is simply not treating the other person as a person. The key webmaster actually replied seriously. It is estimated that Jilly will be so angry that he will vomit blood. Exactly, the relationship between the webmaster and Zhang Shursan is very close. The speed of replying to the post was unexpected. I guess we have already communicated privately, right? Hehe, it's getting more and more interesting. I must go and take a look in 3 days. Zhang Shursan ignored the rumors, but he didn't expect that Esda would really reply. I just wanted to vent my anger on Jilly. Who would have known that the boss came out to accelerate the assist? However, Zhang Shursan can also understand why Miss Esda did this. She hopes to win the duel with a fair and upright approach, using her strength to block rumors and smear rumors. As a webmaster, she has the ability to publish announcements and explain everything, but who would believe it? Instead, we will make it a reality to go through the back door. The best way is to win the game. After all the operations, Zhang Shursan didn't feel sleepy anymore. He got up and walked into the bathroom, took a good hot bath, and the soreness between his muscles seemed to have eased a bit. Unconsciously, it was already 4 a.m. The world seems to be much quieter. Zhang Shursan changed into a clean outfit and prepared to head to the restaurant that is open for 27 hours. The days of reincarnation are always very bitter. He has not enjoyed delicious food for a long time, and his stomach is growling unconsciously. Coincidentally, as they passed by the shelter section, a group of people dressed in black walked towards them. They were in a hurry, with wind blowing around them, making it difficult to provoke them. The leader is a young man with dark skin and gray-white hair. He has deep eyes, a faint scar on one side of his cheek, and a huge sword on his back, which looks very unpleasant. Hello, I am Alan, the head of the Defense Department at the Black Tower Space Station. Due to a small-scale invasion of the Black Tower Space Station, a second-level security mode has been activated. According to the regulations related to the space station, I would like to requisition some of your time. In the calm tone of the young man, there was a hint of seriousness. Second-level security mode. Zhang Shursan looked at the person in front of him. He knew Alan's personality through playing games in his past life and wouldn't joke casually. He then restrained his smile and asked, "Is someone attacking the space station?" "It's not that serious." Alan explained, 10 minutes ago, some monsters from the Anti-Material Legion infiltrated the platform. Fortunately, the defense personnel took timely action, but the casualties were still significant. There is an urgent shortage of manpower to rescue now. Monsters of the Anti-Material Legion. Strange, theoretically they shouldn't be able to enter. Well, that's true in general. Alan told Zhang Shursan honestly. This incident is related to the supply spacecraft, which were attacked on their return journey and seemed to have some engine problems. So when the spacecraft docked with the space station, its speed was much lower than usual, giving the monster a chance to take advantage of it. Defensive railguns isolate most monsters, but even so, a small number of monsters still enter. At present, there are many injured people on the platform who need our assistance. Speaking of this, Alan paused and looked at Zhang Shursan with deep eyes. His tone was somewhat probing. "Sorry for taking up your time." "Okay." Zhang Shursan didn't consider it and agreed directly. This is a matter of vital importance to human life and cannot be taken lightly. In addition, he also wants to see what the monsters of the Anti-Material Legion look like. Also, test your combat effectiveness. Chief. Before Zhang Shusan could enter the team, a middle-aged man approached Alan and whispered a reminder: he is too weak. If he goes rashly, there may be danger. Suddenly, glancing at Zhang Shusan one by one, it was clear that the middle-aged person referred to him. Many people's eyes flashed with contempt. It's not that they underestimated Zhang Shusan. These people are very aware of the strength of the Anti-Material Legion. Zhang Shusan, at such a level, faces a pure dead end in the face of the Anti-Material Legion. He is not the main force, and he may not necessarily participate in frontline battles, but when it comes to actual combat, no one can say for sure what accidents he will encounter. No need to say more, let's go. Faced with the underestimation of these people, Zhang Shusan didn't care either. He walked into the crowd with his hands on his back, his face calm and composed, as if going to eat or drink water with ease. This scene couldn't help but make Alan's eyes light up, and he secretly nodded at the young man. The others were all bewildered. You're only at level 1, where did you get that confidence? Who gave him the courage? That's the monster of the Anti-Material Legion. Do you really think we're joking with you? When it really starts fighting, don't be scared out of your wits. Humph, I kindly remind you that you're not willing to. The middle-aged man who just proposed flashed a lot of displeasure in his heart, but he dared not express it clearly. He actually wants to see what this stinky kid will be scared into later. Chapter 4. Who is he? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Along the way, Alan caught a few more people. But his eyebrows were still tightly furrowed, and his heart was still uneasy. The members of the defense department who are on night shift nearby have already provided support. It will take some time to wake up the sleeping and resting members and gather. Everything is too rushed. Alan Yuguang looked back at the team, and besides the people he brought with him, he only managed to catch 6 of them all the way, and their levels were not high, especially Zhang Shusan. There is a feeling of standing out among chickens. Level 1 is 2 catching. But even this most striking person is also the most leisurely. The rest of the people either have furrowed brows, hurried footsteps, or a tense and serious face, with countless subtle expressions that can be detected at a glance. Only Zhang 13. Leisure and smiling, like a warm and elegant piece of jade. Don't be impatient, as if nothing has happened. Such calmness and composure made Alan feel a bit puzzled, and he had never seen such a person before. But which of those people is not someone who has experienced countless battles and has seen the world before? Their calm and composed demeanor stems from their vision and strength. However, Zhang Shusan Alan said he couldn't understand at all. He simply stopped paying attention to Zhang Shusan and accelerated his pace, leading the team to the platform. Later on, you 6 should pay more attention and try to rescue the wounded in the rear of the battlefield. You don't need to participate in the battle. Alan instructed Zhang Shusan and the 6 others, while also commanding the staff of the defense department: when you fight monsters, pay more attention to the rear and don't involve them. Yes. Everyone agreed. Actually, how could they not know? After staying on the space station for so long, the battle rules are firmly in mind. The members of the defense department were well aware that Alan's words were clearly told to Zhang Shusan and his team. 5 minutes later, everyone arrived at the support cabin, and their view suddenly became wider, with a narrow corridor extending to the end. From afar, Zhang Shusan could see a mysterious planet as brilliant as a sapphire beyond the end. Unfortunately, this is not the time to appreciate. Under the brilliant and mysterious outline of the planet, several figures lay on the ground, swaying and swaying. The red bloodstains were stretched out by the blurry and faint light of the planet, and the smell that permeated the air seemed to have been dragged over. Before everyone could even reach the battlefield, they could smell the strong smell of blood and blood. Beside the platform, there seemed to be noisy collisions, cries for help, as well as strange and deep whispers that were incomprehensible. Standing 100 meters away, Zhang Shusan clearly felt that there was a lot of energy condensed in this space. They are scattered everywhere, sometimes fiercely colliding with water and fire, and then shooting out countless small, sand-like forces. What a magical feeling! Zhang Shusan squinted his eyes and his mind automatically gathered a map. He was able to analyze the direction of the battle and the approximate number of people using the energy in the air. These data will turn into blue and red dots of light, marked on the map one by one, and updated in real time. Let's go and provide support. With a command from Alan, holding a black giant sword, he strode towards the platform and quickly disappeared into battle. Zhang Shusan watched as everyone began to move and walked slowly towards the direction of the platform. As he walked, he silently took out a pink rabbit mask from his pocket and put it on his face. The simulation of the universe is too bizarre. For safety reasons, it's better to hide it a bit. Let's wait until we gradually understand ourselves and master our strength. Soon, Zhang Shusan saw the first target. The person was lying 10 meters away, with his left hand covering his abdomen and looking around in fear. Blood stained the shirt red and white along the lower abdomen, and a pair of jeans were dyed black, making it look bad. Shoo! In front of the man, a small ball hangs in mid-air. There is a golden energy in the middle of the ball, and several gray-blue iron plates float around its body. Anti-baryon, level 3. The sound of the small ball was a bit harsh, and the golden energy in the middle was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Its target was the man lying on the ground. Zhang Shusan saw the situation was not good and stepped out with his right foot to come to the front of the ball in an instant. Bang! The diary hit the ball's forehead and the numbers jumped out. 91345741 click, click. The sound of metal shattering was a clicking sound, and the ball exploded with a loud bang after being attacked. The iron sheets around the body turned into powder and disappeared without a trace. A cloud of golden energy also disappeared. Sleeping trough. Zhang Shusan stood still holding his diary in his hand, wanting to make up for the second blow. The monster is gone like this. He never expected that his speed would be so fast and the damage would be so high. It's simply against the heavens. After so many years of simulating the universe, it is indeed not a waste of time, it's really outrageous. It's too outrageous. But everything is worth it. While Zhang Shusan was overjoyed, he did not forget what he wanted to do. He turned around and approached the man, clasping his shoulders with both hands and whispering a reminder. Please be patient, I will drag you to a safe area. Okay, thank you, thank you. The injured man stuttered while speaking, his voice sounding hoarse and weak. The situation doesn't look very good. No need, hold on. Zhang Shusan's observation was vivid, and this guy is about to die. He must be sent to the medical staff as soon as possible, and the rest is up to fate. Thinking to himself, Zhang Shusan quickly grabbed onto his shoulder and dragged the person step by step out of the platform. Before taking a few steps, something strange happened again. I saw Zhang Shusan's hands shining with faint green dots. These dots of light were like faint fireflies, almost instantly charging into the man's shoulder through his fingertips and eventually disappearing. What is that? He rubbed his eyes, trying to see clearly again. Did he feel dizzy? Maybe it is. There's no trace at all, where did the firefly come from? Zhang Shusan pouted and shook his head, experiencing an inexplicable hallucination. It was indeed too tiring. On the other side, the man who was originally dragged away by Zhang Shusan initially had a grinning expression, and the wound on his abdomen seemed to be torn apart by flames, constantly stimulating him. Walking. He miraculously discovered that the wound was no longer painful. The confused consciousness suddenly regained some clarity, and even the feeling of weakness in the limbs decreased by half. What's the situation? The man was confused. He tried to open his lower abdomen with his left hand, and the bloody opening, which was already visible in his intestines, was quietly healing now. This. Unbelievable. What exactly happened? My injury has healed so quickly and there is less blood flowing. The man pondered for a moment, and his eyes suddenly burst into a brilliant light. When he was just rescued, his mind was in a daze. Now, when he thinks about it carefully. How much damage did the person who saved me cause to the monster? He can't remember clearly, but the numbers are a long string. It must be him. The man swallowed his saliva. He had also been injured before, how could he recover so quickly? Lying on a stretcher. The man looked at Zhang Shursan's departing figure and wanted to turn over to express his gratitude, but was stopped by medical staff rushing towards him. Your injury is very serious, don't move around. The medical staff warned the man and lifted the stretcher to leave the scene. The latter cannot resist and can only watch Zhang Shursan's back getting farther and farther away from afar, deeply admired, shocked, and extremely reluctant to part. He is too strong. The man couldn't figure it out after much thought, and a great doubt arose in his heart. Who the hell is he? Chapter 5. I am just a kind person passing by. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the other side. Alan carried a huge sword in his hand and carefully looked around, his eyes slightly narrowed and he was particularly puzzled. Something's wrong, there are too many monsters in the Anti-Material Legion. Compared to usual, this quantity is clearly not right. Chief, this monster is too fierce, it's difficult for us alone to solve it. The skinny man ran to Alan's side to remind him. He was covered in blood and full of evil energy. Many brothers have already been injured, and if we continue, they will all die. The defense line is about to be overwhelmed. No way. Alan shook his head and turned his back to smash a recoil, exhaling a cold breath. Retreat now, the wounded under attack will undoubtedly die. We must hold on no matter what. The increase in personnel will arrive soon. He tapped his earphones, and the members of the on-site defense department received the message at the same time. Attention all combatable units, officially activate the second set of combat plans. Repeat again to officially activate the second set of combat plans. The second set of operational plans is a rescue plan carried out in groups of 3.5 people. Anyone, upon hearing the command, must select a teammate nearby and form a temporary team to carry out rescue operations in a 2.1/2 manner. 2 people from the front and 2 from the back will lead the way, and the one in the middle will be responsible for searching and rescuing people. Focus on a rescue. After receiving the order, the members of the defense department began to take action. They have used this plan in the past, and with years of training, they are very proficient, forming several temporary teams in less than 20 seconds. Its speed is astonishing. Hey, brother over there, come over quickly. We're just one person away from here. A corner of the platform. Zhang Shursan walked slowly when suddenly a cry came from the right side. He stopped to observe the environment left and right, turned his head to look at the 4 black-clothed people, and pointed to himself, "Are you calling me again? Otherwise." The person in black, the leader, is speechless. Who else is around besides you? Oh. Oh what, come over quickly. Didn't you hear the section chief's order? Command. What command? Zhang Shursan didn't know what the other person was saying, and his expression under the mask became strange. Speak carefully. Are you not from the defense department? The people in black looked at each other and were immediately vigilant. Originally, they were still curious. Why is this person wearing a mask? A big man, wearing a pink rabbit mask, looks strange no matter how he looks. Now that I listen, I am more certain of what I am thinking. This guy must have some tricks. What is it about being sneaky and not daring to show one's true face, not being guilty? As if sensing the atmosphere around him, Zhang Shirsan wiped his nose and explained in a low voice, "Well, I'm not from the Defense Department, I'm just a kind-hearted person passing by." A kind-hearted person passing by. Several members of the Defense Department wore an expression of, "Do you believe me?" and their fear grew deeper and deeper. The more they look at Zhang Shirsan, the more abnormal it becomes. At this time, it is 4:30 a.m. A kind-hearted person passing by, you came out at 4:30 a.m. to wander around aimlessly. Coincidentally encountering an attack from the Anti-Material Legion. Moreover, their position is not peripheral. The level of monsters here is slightly higher, and there are also quite a few. Zhang Shirsan, who can appear here alone, obviously has two tricks. No matter how you look at it. This guy doesn't seem like a good person. Several members of the Defense Department looked at each other and understood their emotions from each other's eyes. The four fingertips quietly touched the handle of the knife, as if war was about to break out in the next second, roaming and rumbling. The huge explosion and roar caused the entire platform to shake and sway. Everyone's gaze swept towards the southeast direction. What a powerful energy fluctuation. There is a big war going on over there. Zhang Shirsan's eyes flashed with excitement, and the face under his mask was faintly excited. Along the way, all the monsters killed were little Karami, and they couldn't withstand a casual attack. Now Zhang Shirsan wants to find an opponent and see where his upper limit is. Where are the people? After the vibration ended, four members of the Defense Department reacted and wanted to capture Zhang Shirsan and bring him to justice. But when they looked around, they found that the eerie mask had disappeared without a trace, with no trace at all. So fast, when did he leave? Completely unable to perceive. One of them was amazed. His strength is too terrifying, I'm afraid we're not opponents. The black-clothed man, the leader, looked grim. Fortunately, he has no intention of killing us, otherwise we would have. The four of them fell silent for a moment, and no one spoke. Forget it, let's go support it. The search for the nearby area has been completed, and there are no casualties. That loud noise, there should be a powerful monster appearing. Sound explosion location. Alan gathered the power of thunder and lightning with a giant sword, leaped up and slashed forward, instantly sparking waves of smoke. In the smoke, the figure of a centaur slowly walked out. Its upper body is in the shape of an adult, and its lower body is in the shape of a horse. Its entire body is covered with iron sheets, making it difficult to see its true appearance. The monster is over 3 meters tall, holding a long bow and looking at the crowd in a majestic manner. Virtual soldier, Treader. The Anti-Material Legion uses the war furnace to fuse and remake the fragments of warriors and ancient beasts. How could it be a trampler? The crowd who came upon hearing the news froze in expression. Unlike those lower-level units, the tramplers have truly developed wisdom and can be considered a more advanced unit of the Anti-Material Legion. They not only have strong attacks and high defense capabilities, but ordinary weapons cannot harm them at all. Moreover, everyone couldn't see through the level and strength of the trampler in front of them. It's really too spicy. It's over, we're completely powerless. Most people in the Defense Department feel a sense of retreat, inexplicably showing a desire to escape. The monster's pressure is really strong. Regardless of everyone's thoughts, Alan swung his giant sword horizontally again, moving twice as fast as 10 seconds ago, without any fear of the monster in front of him. Thunder echoed and the scene was covered in deep purple light. Roaming and rumbling. The strong pressure swept across the platform, causing countless people to fall back in succession. When they saw it clearly, their faces couldn't help but change slightly. Chief. At this moment, Alan was half kneeling on the ground, his chest heaving and panting incessantly, beads of sweat streaking his cheeks and landing on the ground. Damn it, This monster's defense is too strong to even deal with the department head. Someone exclaimed in a low voice, and panic continued to spread. What should I do if I can't even make it to the department head? Hee, it's a bit interesting. As everyone was anxious, a sudden voice inexplicably reached everyone's ears. Alan suddenly looked up upon hearing the sound, his pupils instinctively contracting. At some point, a young man appeared out of thin air. He stood with his back to himself and his hands behind his back, facing the tall tramplers with a calm expression and no pressure. Who is he? The whole audience gathered their gaze, including Alan, who was unaware of how he appeared. What terrifying strength! Is it him? The four black-clothed people's pupils tightened as they stared at the boy's pink rabbit mask. How could they not recognize it? Unexpectedly, he came. And judging from his posture, he wants to take action against the tramplers. Chapter 6. The Mighty Happy Man Joyful Envoy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The four people were shocked, and the onlookers were also incoherent. They looked at Zhang Shursan from afar, feeling an inexplicable emotion. The pressure of tramplers is too strong, and many people are unable to step forward or even dare not have the intention to step forward. But he faced strong pressure and stood alone in front of the proud and fierce monster. They wouldn't even dare to think about it. This person's mood and strength are so terrifying. Eyes familiar. At some point, Alan slowly stood up with his giant sword in hand. A pair of experienced and profound contemplative eyes stared fixedly at Zhang Shursan's back, and finally gave him an evaluation of this figure. He couldn't see through the pink rabbit mask. As the head of the space station's defense department, Alan has met many important figures with Esda, demonstrating some natural science skills in identifying people and objects. The aura and temperament emitted by the pink rabbit mask are too familiar to the eye. He has no evidence, but he is 100% certain that he must have seen this person. Roar! The trampler held a long bow in his hand and wanted to rush forward to crush Alan, but he didn't expect another person to come. This made him furious, with a sharp and mysterious hissing that ran rampant, shattering the surroundings of the platform and countless already crumbling glass. The sound of cracking, the sound of iron shells shattering, and the long echoing roar of monsters caused everyone's eardrums to tear and ache. Whoosh! As most people covered their ears, the sound of breaking through the air came rapidly. The golden ball of light mixed with flowing tail wings almost instantly collided with Zhang Shursan. 59, that's it. Zhang Shursan held a golden light in his hand and carefully observed its appearance. It is in the shape of an arrow, mixed with floating light like flowing water, and the movement of the light back and forth is as smooth and comfortable as an hourglass. If there is no flow of light around the body, it causes the line of sight to slightly blur and flicker, and the space seems to be distorted. The power of destruction is a bit interesting. Zhang Shursan's words were understated, as he casually waved his golden arrow without a trace. The expression beneath his mask was contemptuous and uninteresting. I thought I had met a master, but I didn't expect it to be a vegetable chicken. This was not a forced statement from Zhang Shursan. He came over eagerly, but was greatly disappointed. Roar! The trampler saw being looked down upon and felt even more angry in his heart. He is a wise destructive creature, not those brainless fools. Of course, he can understand that Zhang Shursan is insulting himself. With all its heart set on destruction, it failed to destroy Alan and was insulted by the stinky boy in front of it. How can this revenge not be avenged? Bang! 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 The platform was trembling, and the heavy and broken sound of horse hooves was somewhat eerie. The pressure in the air was increasing exponentially. Countless people around were frightened and panicked, fleeing backwards in succession. Run quickly, the trampler's trampling power is too strong. This kind of pressure is not something we can resist. The farther we retreat, the better. People with weaker strength will definitely die if they stay here. Damn it, how could this monster be so strong this time? Everyone fled and left, leaving only a few strong individuals to stay in place. But their condition was not good either, their faces turned pale, their teeth clenched, and beads of sweat the size of soybeans gushed wildly from their foreheads. Alan is not among them. His face was unpredictable, his fingertips silently gripping the giant sword, his muscles bulging at the same time, ready to support at any time. This move cannot be forcefully resisted. The trampler possesses the power of ancient beasts, warriors, and destruction, and the trampling power is multiplied, making human flesh unbeatable. Invincible. Zhang Shusan tilted his head and cast a grateful gaze in his eyes. I'd like to see what kind of invincibility it is. Bang! Half a step forward, almost instantly colliding with the trampler. The hustle and bustle of energy, like a brilliant meteor shower, poured down, and the glass from 100 meters away began to crack, revealing traces of the road about to break. The smoke on sight became even more intense. It's impossible to see clearly what's happening in the center of the energy. Cola. Come on. Zhang Shusan's voice fell from the sky, and everyone looked up and their pupils suddenly shrank. How is he up there? Just now it was on the ground. Without waiting for everyone to question, cans of cola flew from various corners of the platform, floating behind Zhang Shusan like a gathering. 1 can, 2 cans, 3 cans, a lot of cola. Whoosh! The first can of cola was like a shell hitting the ground, followed closely by the second and third cans. The densely packed cans of cola were like machine guns firing incessantly until all the cola was shot. The smoke dissipated. The scene was in a mess. The center of the platform was dented by cola, forming a 5-meter pit. One by one, the cans turned into tiny fragments that could never be found again. They were like snowflakes falling into the palms of everyone, leaving for a long time. At the center of the pit, the iron sheet bent by force lay crooked and twisted on the ground, as if telling the tragic death of the trampler. This. The onlookers looked at each other, and everyone rubbed their eyes in unison, looking at the deep pit in disbelief. Did the trampling and trampling die like this? Still beaten to death by cola. What is this thing called? It's too outrageous. If the members of the Anti-Material Legion know that they are going to attack the space station with knives the next day. Shame, great shame. The ferocious trampler died so easily. Who is the person wearing a mask? Wait, don't you think this kind of inappropriate behavior is very familiar to you? I don't know who asked back. The noisy crowd immediately fell silent, everyone's faces changed dramatically, covering their mouths and noses and not daring to speak. Who else is the most inhumane in the entire universe besides Aha? Happy Star God. A powerful musician. There is nothing it dares not do. Smashing enemies with cola is indeed something it can do. Of course, the newcomer is definitely not Aha, but rather someone who follows the belief in happiness, and it is also possible that they are the envoy of happiness. It is said that the mask of a masked fool symbolizes a belief in joy, and wearing a mask becomes an entry ticket for fools to gather at a tavern at the end of the world. They remembered the pink rabbit mask on Zhang Shusan's face and couldn't help but nod deeply. Those who possess such strength may truly be pleasurable. Everyone is feeling emotional in their hearts, but they dare not say much. Those are high-ranking figures, and they cannot afford to offend them. I first met Zhang Shusan's group of 4, but now I can still swallow an egg with my open mouth. How could he or they have thought that the other party's strength was so strong? Cold sweat covered his back, and a wave of regret and fear filled his heart. He had the intention of taking action at the beginning, but now he realizes that they have walked around on the edge of life and death. I'm just a kind-hearted person passing by. This sentence came to mind out of place, and the fingertips of the 4 were still trembling slightly. The stone is hammered, it's really a source of joy. Those who follow pleasure always like to move according to their hearts, and he thinks it's fun to make this move, right? Several people firmly believe in this. If Zhang Shirsan were to know the thoughts of a few people, he might scold them for having brain problems. At first, it made them believe, but they didn't believe it. Now that the misunderstanding has been resolved, they are starting to brainstorm again. I'm really impressed. On site, Alan led the team to clean up the scene, standing by the deep pit, gazing at the strengthened titanium alloy being broken, constantly replaying Zhang Shirsan's back in his mind. It's necessary to investigate who this person is. If there is really a joyful messenger inside the space station, the safety of the young lady will definitely be affected. Chapter 7. The Power of Destruction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Somewhere in the universe. Silver Wolf, you lost. A woman is like a rose in the darkness, with deep and bright eyes. She jokingly looks at a blue planet and says, "You can't play games in the next action." Bored. The silver-haired girl hugged her cheeks, her tone low and plain, but she could hear a bit of gritting her teeth. She held the tablet and pointed to the person in the video. That person is wearing a pink rabbit mask. Kafka, who is this guy? How did the Pleasure Commander get on the Black Tower space station? He also disrupted my plan, damn it. He is the person mentioned by Elio. Kafka has an elegant and charming figure, with her hair curled behind her ears, her rosy and plump lips slightly curled up, and her smile warm and charming like a spring breeze. I hate him. Don't be stubborn, he's very important. Kafka understood that Silver Wolf was joking and comforted in a low voice, it's one of the variables of the future. So you already knew. The Silver Wolf hugged both arms and pretended to be angry. Even though he knew he was on the Black Tower space station, he made a bet with me to send the members of the Anti-Material Legion into the space station. Isn't this a must-lose game? Answering her was a faint and charming smile. Mature women are full of interest, with their hands slightly spread out against the railing, and a pair of pale purple pupils that capture the soul. I don't know who is so eager to complete the task. How can we not let her try? You won. The Silver Wolf wilted like a ball and said, I will follow the agreement. When will we take action next? It's almost there. The timing is about to mature. At 6 o'clock in the morning. Zhang Shirsan is crazy with a bowl of Lamian noodles. One small bowl after another was piled up in front of the dining table, almost forming a small mountain. The boss couldn't help but be stunned. I don't know, I thought it was a starving ghost descending to earth. Stroking his bulging lower abdomen, Zhang Shirsan let out a full hiccup and said, I haven't eaten anything for 300 years, it's too difficult to bear. During that period, although not hungry, there was far from this happiness and satisfaction. If possible, he would like to stay at a hotel. After flipping through the space station forum for several hours, there was no news of the Anti-Material Legion attacking the platform, and no discussion was visible. The hottest topic still remains the challenge posed by fans of Esda to Zhang Shirsan, who even agreed. It seems like nothing has happened. On the platform, no one should have noticed me. Zhang Shirsan muttered to himself, wearing a mask to change his voice and changing his clothes. Even if he stared at the video, he wouldn't find his head. Absolutely flawless. In this battle, Zhang Shirsan also made a preliminary estimate of his combat effectiveness, and his heart couldn't help but feel a bit inflated. Although still at level 1, my combat power standing in front of the Star God, I probably would have to slap him twice. This is an exaggerated statement. Zhang Shirsan is not foolish enough to challenge the Star God. His ceiling-level combat power is not something he can match. It's better to live quietly. After all, the universe is so spicy that there are people and mountains outside of us. We must not easily offend others or expose ourselves. The water is very deep. By the way, this thing is a bit strange. Go back to the room. Zhang Shirsan took out a golden arrow, which felt a slight chill and wanted to wander around. This arrow is exactly the one launched by the trampler. According to common sense, one should not keep it, throwing it away or destroying it directly is the best choice, but he always feels like there is something on the arrow. This feeling involves the heart, reminding it in its consciousness not to throw away the arrow. It's too mysterious. Zhang Shursan is a bit at a loss. He has not been in contact with these things and is not sure if there is any danger. What should he do in case of an explosion? I dare not show it to others. If Ms. Haida can take a look, all problems will be easily solved. Unfortunately, it's not possible. Staring at the arrow in his hand, Zhang Shursan inexplicably felt a touch in his heart, as if his subconscious was telling him that this thing was not dangerous. He also didn't know where these subconscious came from, can only try. Zhang Shursan gently grasped the golden arrow, which rippled with faint energy. An extremely comfortable feeling spread throughout the body, and my heart was unprecedentedly calm and stable. The cloud pattern water waves in the arrow gradually moved towards the fingertips, and the irritable and restless energy completely disappeared, turning into obedient energy that dared not move at all. Such subtle changes are evident in Zhang Shursan's eyes. He quietly felt the wonderful and comfortable energy flowing into his body at his fingertips. Zhang Shursan carefully stared at the energy, afraid that it would cause trouble in his body. Unexpectedly, this force merged with other forces upon entering the body. There is no sign of rejection at all. They seem to merge into one, with me and you in each other. Zhang Shursan can't even find this energy. No, can I absorb the power of destruction? Zhang Shursan was stunned on the spot, feeling a bit unresponsive for a moment. This is an arrow shot by the trampler, and the destructive power on the arrow is extremely terrifying. Surprisingly, I effortlessly sucked the destructive power from the arrow into my body and even refined it. It's a bit unbelievable. As is well known, the current mainstream destiny includes preservation, memory, nothingness, abundance, destruction, hunting, and happiness. These fates are powerful and terrifying. They are the paths of the stars and gods. Ordinary people intentionally or unintentionally enter the path of destiny controlled by the star god, becoming practitioners of their beliefs and gaining powerful abilities. But even if one is as strong as a star god, they can only practice one path and use one type of energy. What is the truth that I have not chosen my destiny, but can absorb the power of destruction? Is it related to the simulated universe again? The only thing that Zhang Shursan could think of was it. Before officially entering the simulated universe, one will first choose a destiny path. According to this speculation, I can also devour the power of other life paths. And every time it is devoured, its strength becomes stronger and ultimately becomes invincible in the world. Sleeping in bed, as long as it lasts long enough, I can really hammer the star god. Zhang 13 was greatly shocked and quickly suppressed the thought. Good, never have such a thought. Each star god is too powerful, and their abilities are also different. Unknown. Not visible. It's hard to say. Cannot be recited. In the future, low-key development is needed, and we hope that all the stars and gods bless us. After silently reciting dozens of times in Zhang Shursan's heart, he thoroughly cleared up his miscellaneous thoughts. He absorbed all the destructive power from the golden arrow and observed for a while before finally letting go. I can already feel the power of destruction within my body. The quantity is small, but it exists. If I had known not to kill the tramplers, I could have tied them up and kept them shooting arrows at me, so that there would be a continuous stream of destructive power to absorb. TSK. Becoming a colleague with Ms. Haida truly makes me feel smarter. I can think of such a clever method. The Genius Club will have my place sooner or later. Chapter 8 Bad News. Suddenly happy to be a dad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Office, come here for a moment. The phone is on. After washing up, Zhang Shusan held his phone and froze for a few seconds, feeling slightly anxious and uneasy. Ms. Haida, what's up with me? It shouldn't be. She is a busy person and doesn't have time to talk to herself. After much thought, I replied with a yes and got up to go to the Black Tower office. Although on vacation, Ms. Haida, as her immediate superior, speaks 1,000 words in one sentence, forcing her to bow under the eaves. If I offend her, the space station won't be able to survive. Zhang Shusan doesn't want to leave for the time being. In addition to having a stable job, the various benefits of the Black Tower space station are also fully booked, and the rooms, meals, and living environment are completely at the top business level. Don't even think about it, Miss Asida must have activated her money ability. On the other hand, the Black Tower space station is much safer compared to the outside world. Not to mention the super-friendly simulation universe for oneself. Living here is his best choice so far. Half an hour later, Zhang Shusan appeared in the Black Tower office, feeling a bit scared in his heart. Are you here? The little man in the Black Tower, with his hands on his hips and a "how slow you are" expression, pointed to a corner of the office and said, "Let's go take a look at that thing. I don't know if you like it or not." What is it? Zhang Shusan's eyes suddenly became sparkling. Ms. Haida, is that what I understand? Ugly looking, quite beautiful in thought. Haida's childish face lifted, with a hint of disdain on his small face, a soft contrast. Giving gifts is too common for me, I disdain it. Hee hee. Zhang Shusan scratched his head and instinctively turned his gaze away. The little bit of caution in his heart was exposed, which inevitably felt a bit awkward. As for Ms. Haida calling herself ugly, he didn't take it seriously at all. When passing Ms. Haida's assessment, she personally said, "Your appearance and image have added a lot of points to you," which Zhang Shusan still remembers. Pressing down the corner of her mouth that was about to curl up, Zhang Shusan ignored her venomous tongue and turned the topic back to the right track. Since it's not a gift, what is it? On the desktop. A gray cardboard box is placed there. The entire box is square in shape, with an estimated height, length, and width of 1 meter. Zhang Shusan stood next to the box, looking at it interestingly. His palms circled around the box, but he didn't wait for Black Tower's answer. Just take a look and you'll know. The latter sells a trick, with hands spread out and a face full of indifference. There won't be any danger, will there? Seeing her like this, Zhang Shusan suddenly remembered something. This is not within the scope of work. Cowards. She showed a disdainful expression and then explained, "I reckon there shouldn't be any danger with the things she sent over." Right. Wait. Ms. Haida. What's going on? Actually, you don't know what's inside, do you? For eyes facing each other. There was a brief silence in the office. Puff. The gray box suddenly made a sound, breaking the tranquility and silence in the office. A small head popped out of the box. The little girl has soft golden curly hair, blue eyes, bright like clear lake water, full of curiosity and desire to explore the world. Her soft and fair face had 2 small dimples, and her skin was so smooth that it could be easily blown open, making it irresistible to want to knead her little face. The little girl crawled out of the box and was so shocked that Zhang Shusanwei opened her mouth. She flew out in mid-air, wearing a pink dress with a pink bow tied around the neckline. My mind hurts. The little girl held her head and shook it, facing Zhang Shusan with grievances. Her voice was soft and sticky, like a pink ball. Where is this? Ah, this. This is the Black Tower space station. It seems that Ruan Mei is referring to you. Haida pinched her chin, and a hint of light suddenly appeared in her eyes. She looked at the 7 or 8-year-old little loli in front of her and exclaimed. It seems that Ruan Mei's new experiment has made breakthrough progress. Ruan Mei. Zhang Shusan pondered for a long time and found information about her deeds in his mind, a scholar with a gentle and elegant temperament, member of the Genius Club number 81, and an expert in the field of life sciences. With his talent and astonishing persistence, he gained the attention of the Master of Wisdom and began to study and explore the origin of life in a secret corner. Can you say? Well, that's right, it's what you think. Xiaoyulai is the creation of Ruan Mei. Haida saw what Zhang Shusan was thinking in his heart, withdrew his curious gaze and no longer looked at Xiaoyulai. Instead, he patted Zhang Shusan's shoulder. So, I'll leave this matter to you. What? Don't look at me like that. Ruan Mei left a message a few years ago asking me to place this little guy, and now she's handing it over to you. Ms. Haida said earnestly, this little guy doesn't look easy, you can handle it yourself. Bad news, suddenly happy to become a father. Good news, the child's his mother is Ruan Mei. Zhang Shusan sat on the steps of the Black Tower office, and the Black Tower lady beside him had no light in her eyes, no longer speaking or moving. Without any precautions or concerns, the child just appeared like this. Ms. Haida, she has no heart. Xiaoyulai flew around Zhang Shusan, spinning several times, and her soft fingers approached, trying to poke Zhang Shusan's face. A milky aroma wafted over my face. What's your name? She asked vaguely and timidly. Zhang Shusan. The man remained silent for a while before finally sighing and reluctantly accepting it. He asked back, what about you? Xiaoyulai's expression stiffened as she forced a smile and shook her head, I don't have a name, and I don't know what my name is. Is that right? How about I give you a name? NN. Little Loli's eyes were sparkling like stars in the universe, and her eyebrows suddenly brightened. She immediately turned from sadness to a smile, revealing a hopeful look. She kept rubbing her hands against the corners of her clothes, her fingertips spinning around each other, tense and reserved. Then let's call you Ruan Mian. Zhang Shusan pondered for a moment and rubbed his finger to give the answer. Your mother's name is Ruan Mei, and you are as soft as a marshmallow, so I gave you this name. Do you like it? I like it very much. Little Loli was dancing in the air, cheering and singing her name. In fact, no matter what name Zhang Shusan gives her, she is very happy. As he watched the girl dance and float back and forth, he couldn't help but think of the nervousness and unease that little Loli had just experienced. The little face was filled with loneliness and helplessness, which made Zhang Shusan feel heartbroken and decided to take good care of the child. A small name can make her happy for a long time. She is a simple and kind little Loli. Alright, when you go out in the future, you should call yourself Mian Mian and never slip your tongue. Zhang Shusan suddenly remembered a reminder, it's best not to mention your surname. Why? Because your mother is a very powerful person, once exposed, many people disturb her and she doesn't want to be harassed. Mian Mian suddenly realized, tilting her head and waving her fist, from now on, Mian Mian will definitely obey and not cause trouble for her mother. And Mian Mian will also protect Big Brother. Whoever dares to trouble Big Brother, I'll help you beat it up. Just your small body. Zhang Shusan's words came to an abrupt end, and his eyes flickered as he suddenly remembered the words of Ms. Haida, this little guy doesn't look simple. Is it difficult? Is she still a strong person? Ruan Mei sent me a baby over here. Chapter 9. At Esda, is the work on the space station so idle? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Mian Mian, are you fighting really hard? Restaurant. Zhang Shusan sat opposite Mian Mian, whose small body could only reveal a cute head from the edge of the table. She wore a white napkin around the collar and had a happy expression with oil stains on her mouth. Mian Mian doesn't know how to fight. Xiaoyulai waved her hands repeatedly, then stood on the bench with her toes resting on her toes, grabbing the hamburger in front of her as much as possible. But Mian Mian understands a lot. If Big Brother doesn't believe it, you can test me. Do you know a lot? Zhang Shusan, who observed with suspicion, trying to find a flaw in her face. Well, it seems that my mother has implanted a lot of knowledge into me. Although I can't be as ruthless as Master Bashi, I'm not weak either. Continuously grabbing the hamburger, he took a big bite and puffed his cheeks like a stealing squirrel. Zhang Shusan squinted his eyes slightly and looked cautiously at the little loli in front of him. Bashi Zun is the wisdom star god, in charge of the entire path of wisdom. It is stuck in a corner of the vast Milky Way, calculating the cosmic equations constructed by trillions of variables while deriving the law of imaginary numbers that has not yet been revealed. Occasionally, a spark of wisdom suddenly appears in a mortal world, and the god of wisdom sends a signal to its source, inviting geniuses to join the ranks of exploring the answers to the universe together. This is the way to join the Genius Club. However, in front of her, this little loli actually compared her to Bashi Zun. It's a bit against the sky. But upon careful consideration, there is no problem. During the experiment, one may constantly nurtured, reassembled, and reproduced life, hoping to dissect memory, regulate balance, deconstruct pure beauty, and reproduce immortality. Ultimately understanding life, touching concepts, and finally reaching the stage of being in contact with stars and gods. Mian can reach a higher level, it's really possible. Let me believe you for now, humph. Zhang Shusan slammed her head in frustration, gritted his teeth and observed the table. The small mountain-like bowls piled up together, almost drowning little loli. The salary for the Good Lucky space station is relatively high, and there is also food subsidies, otherwise you wouldn't be able to afford to support this little guy. Thinking about it, Zhang Shusan didn't show any weakness and started eating happily. He secretly decided to take Mian to a buffet in the future. There were more and more small bowls on the table, and the two of them, big and small, seemed to be gluttonous and crazily devoured all the food, startling the other guests. Is this TM still human? The boss, who observed silently, was half crying and half smiling, without knowing what expression to make for a moment. Ah, I finally have enough to eat. For a while. Gently caressing her bulging belly and looking at the small bowls piled up in the mountains, she chuckled awkwardly as she scratched her head and said, "It looks like we've eaten a bit too much." "It's not us, it's you." Zhang Shusan rolled his eyes in frustration. He thought he was the king of the big stomach, but he didn't expect the little loli in front of him to be the real king of the big stomach. She ate 4/5 of the food on sight. Thief terror. What's even more terrifying is that, at the checkout, a long stream of receipts was like bullets, hitting Zhang Shusan's heart one by one. When he brushes his face and pays the bill, his heart is dripping with blood. Continuously flying by Zhang Shusan's side, the speed was noticeably slower than before, with occasional burps and a feeling of drowsiness. "You won't be tired, will you?" Zhang Shusan only observed and saw her nodding shyly. Nuo Ji's little head was buried in his chest, perhaps too shy to speak, and he remained silent for a long time. "I have raised a little pig." The man covered his face in helplessness, thinking that he had to negotiate terms with Ms. Haida. What if he didn't get a raise? Who can withstand this? Returning to the room, her mind crawled back into the bed, soft cotton covering her body, instantly making her show an expression of enjoyment. Continuously looking east and west, curling up into a ball with a pillow and burying his little head. She occasionally peeked at Zhang Shusan through the gap between the quilt and pillow, confirming that he was still in the room. She breathed a sigh of relief and covered her head with the pillow, repeating several times. "What's wrong? Didn't you feel sleepy?" Zhang Shusan sat at his desk, clearly feeling the abnormality of Xiaoyulai, and walked to the bedside to ask in a low voice. "No, it's okay." Xiaoyulai pretended to be calm, but her speech was already stuttering. "Don't worry, I won't leave," Zhang Shusan comforted her. "I promise you can see me at first glance when you wake up and open it. Really, hurry up and go to sleep." Zhang Shusan fiercely pulled out a baseball bat from under the bed and stared at little loli, with a feeling of, "I'll knock you to death if you don't sleep anymore." That aura was so frightened that it wrapped around the quilt, but it giggled twice. What a sensitive and pitiful little guy. Sitting by the edge of the bed, listening to her breathing gradually slow down, Zhang Shusan finally breathed a sigh of relief, took out his phone in the back, and took out a cute picture of her sleeping face with a click. A pink and soft face, with a series of saliva flowing out, is very cute. He looked at it, as if suddenly remembering something, and quickly logged into the space station forum. The message in the upper right corner indicated that it had already reached 99+. The hottest topic is still duels. Jilly once again posted a new post, openly and secretly mocking Zhang Shusan's incompetence, while also asking various questions from Esda. Unfortunately, the webmaster did not reply to him. This makes his remarks even more arrogant. Continuously putting down harsh words on the forum, trying to smash Zhang Shusan's dog head or remove his hand. In short, today he went online at high intensity on the forum, and his presence has been filled. Zhang Shusan touched his chin, rolled his eyes a few times, and smiled as he used his real name account to comment under the post. At Esda, is the work on the space station so idle? He surfs passionately all day long, and it feels like he doesn't have to go to work. Ida. After deducting this year's performance bonus and welfare bonus, the weight level of the space station has been lowered by 1 level. In less than 10 minutes, Ida replied. Suddenly, the entire forum fell silent like death. Even if everyone saw Zhang Shusan's words. But no one dares to reply, no one dares to continue surfing the internet. This move is too ruthless. Playing back and forth, who is joking about salary? For a moment, there was no new response from the entire forum. The people who manage the forum in the background are all numb. The entire forum has a large number of online users, but no one dares to speak up. Zhang Shusan can do it with just one sentence. It's too fierce. Jilly has not yet taken action, it is a complete defeat. In front of another screen. Jilly, who had just received an email notification, was stunned on the spot. It's over, all of this is over. The performance is gone, and the benefits are also gone. The level of employees has also been lowered, which is equivalent to a decrease in wages. What's even more despicable is, the webmaster he longed for has never replied to his messages. Jilly is not angry enough. He clearly only wants to get one reply. Why would the webmaster respond immediately when that little white face sends a message? He is so angry, really angry. Pup, a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth, and Jilly fainted on the spot, falling heavily to the ground. Chapter 10. The Days of Beating Bad Guys. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh roar, something big happened. Autumn eating melon. Have you heard? That Carrie was sent to the emergency room. Water wave flowing. What kind of ghost? It's really fake. He was still active on the forum a few hours ago. Autumn eating melon. This melon is authentic. My friend is in the infirmary. Chio, who eats melons. My colleague from Jilly said that when he received an email from the space station, he vomited blood and fainted on the ground on the spot. The current situation seems not very optimistic, but he definitely won't die. Guaguawan shout. Ah. So serious. Water waves flowing. Laugh to death, if it were me, it would probably be the same. The goddess hasn't licked it yet, and the salary, benefits, and positions are gone. Who can bear it? Autumn eating melon. Harm, isn't this self-inflicted? Zhang Shusan. What? Why did Jilly fall? Can he still go to the duel tomorrow? Autumn eating melon. Who knows, but it's highly likely that I won't be able to go. Even if I do, I'll probably get beaten up. Zhang Shusan didn't expect that just because of his own words, Jilly would fall. My combat power is not good, little brother. He shrugged helplessly, watching as the group was still gossiping, rubbing his nose for a moment of helplessness. I don't know when this gust of wind will pass. On the day of the duel. Zhang Shusan woke up from bed, still lying on his chest, with a soft, pink face that he couldn't help but pinch. Xiaoyulai was pinched awake, wiped the corners of her mouth and looked up, revealing a small white tooth. Her face was full of sunshine and a simple smile could not stop it. Big brother, you're awake. Well, wash your face and brush your teeth. Let's go have breakfast, Zhang Shusan patted her shoulder. Today is an important day. Important days. That's right, we're going to fight the villains. As soon as Mian heard the 3 words, hit the bad guy, she immediately revealed her tiger teeth. She fiercely imitated the tiger's roar and said, where is the bad guy? Mian also wants to hit the bad guy. Let's go have breakfast first. Zhang Shusan smiled silently, but his heart was warm. He suddenly felt that having such a little thing by his side was also good. The main thing is that those 300 years have been too difficult, without even a person to talk to. Now that Mian happens to be by her side, is it not a kind of happiness? The breakfast shop was absent-minded and shouted all the way to teach the bad guys a lesson. They didn't eat much deep-fried dough sticks or soybean milk, and later felt that they had lost. Mian, why do you hate bad guys so much? You've been shouting all the way, has anyone bullied you? That's not true. But if there's a villain bullying Big Brother, I can't just watch and ignore him, said Mian with her hands on her hips, lifting her chin to show a little pride. How do you know someone is bullying me? Is it difficult to guess? Mian's head was crooked, and her entire face was innocent. She scratched her head and said, from time to time, there are strange gazes around me looking at Big Brother. And then what? No more then. Zhang Shusan almost vomited blood and said, nonsense, can you tell with just these looks? That's not true either. It was only when my older brother said he was going to the big bad guy that I guessed. Let's see little Loli's face full of childlike innocence, unable to see any false or lying elements, and couldn't help but be amazed in her heart. Rumors have it that Bashi Zun possesses extremely powerful computing power. As long as there are enough materials and data, it can calculate the future. History also has records. Before the start of the Imperial War, Master Bashi calculated 3 moments. 1. After the global locust plague, Interstellar Peace Company will expand significantly, but it will also exacerbate wealth inequality in class conflicts, and trigger border trade wars. 2. The computer, Emperor, Rupert would deduce the anti-organic equation, and start the Imperial War. 3. Rupert will be killed by the silent Lord Polka Kakum, and the Imperial War will come to an end as a result. Although the mysterious mystery attempts to interfere with its computational results, all of these results are fulfilled one by one. Now, Mian seems to have this ability as well. Although it's just a small matter, this ability has always been within me. Just not as powerful as Bashi Zun. You're really a treasure. Zhang Shusan observed Mian interestingly, while the latter shrank his head and didn't understand Zhang Shusan's gaze, feeling a slight fear in his heart. She felt that Zhang Shusan could eat her. As the two of them were chatting, they unconsciously arrived at the platform of the support cabin. Many shattered glass had not been reinstalled, and the ground was still scattered with glass fragments, looking very disheveled. The crimson bloodstains have not been completely cleared, just like the battle marks that are often seen along the way. They are engraved on titanium alloy plates, as if telling the story of that night's battle. Several large holes on the platform have been repaired, and there are frequent spaceships loading and unloading cargo, with people coming and going. It looks like it has returned to its usual busy appearance. However, today's platform is more lively than usual. After the public opinion fermentation on the forum, everyone on the entire space station knows that Zhang Shusan and Jiuli are going to have a duel here. So a continuous stream of people came to watch the play, even Alan came to the scene early to maintain order. When they saw Zhang Shusan, the two nodded in agreement to show respect. Unconsciously. It has arrived at 12 noon. The onlookers had 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside, and there were countless people eating melons. Zhang Shusan looked around the scene, got up, jumped onto the set-up arena, and smiled as he looked at the crowd. Suddenly, there was a commotion on the scene. He's here. Wow, is this Zhang Shusan? He looks so handsome. He's in love. You're such a flower enthusiast, love one after another. There was a lot of noise in the audience, and she followed Zhang Shusan with a somewhat reserved expression. She also followed Zhang Shusan and kept looking around, holding her chest with both hands and not feeling well. Where is the bad guy? He can't run away, can he? I don't know. Zhang Shusan also shrugged and said, I guess we should hide. We dare not come. Mian was amused to cover her mouth and giggle, and the giggling did not decrease the volume of their conversation at all. Of course, everyone could hear it clearly. Many people were still waiting for Carrie, while a few knew he wouldn't be able to come and watched the farce with a smile. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been waiting for 10 minutes and it seems that the other party is not planning to appear. Zhang Shusan took out his phone to check the time, shook his head helplessly and said, I'll be waiting for him for at most 5 minutes. If he doesn't show up within 5 minutes, I'll have to go back. I'm on vacation now. We must not waste time. However, after a moment of thought, Zhang Shusan looked around and said, of course, if you don't like me, you can also come on stage to fight. I happen to be taking advantage of today to clean up the recent rumors. What do you think? Everyone looked at each other, naturally understanding Zhang Shusan's meaning. But no one spoke at this critical moment. Zhang Shusan was amused at once. He hugged his arm and looked around with interest. No, there has been a lot of commotion on the forum lately. I have come out to explain and respond positively in person. Why hasn't anyone come on stage? Is it possible that those clowns are all keyboard warriors who can only hide behind the screen and type, just like mice living in cold, damp, and dark sewers? As soon as Zhang Shusan said this, the crowd instantly exploded. Isn't today the day he duels with Carrie? Why did you suddenly scold us all for eating melons? They truly understand what it means to be slapped by a passing dog. Many people were full of bitterness on their faces, but still didn't speak up, wanting to see what Zhang Shusan wanted to do. Okay, since everyone is silent, I'll start calling the roll. I'll see if you can still sit still. Say it. Behind him slowly condensed green light, which merged into a 5-meter high screen with a long string of names recorded on it.